Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Matt Watson. Hi, Matt.
What's going on, man?
I'm just trying to kind of shake off the October vibe. Try to get this candy off me.
Yeah, and I feel like I got a little bit of a cold. Maybe
do?
I need to go to the doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there more to that?
I need some help. I need a doctor.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can help you with that today, but I can maybe help you get some TheraWe.
Really?
Yeah. You want to know what that is?
Yeah.
That's amazing timing. It's uncanny.
Really?
Yeah. It's amazing how we just happen to. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
First off, stop that. You feel better?
Yeah. No.
Well, anyway, so we'll describe what your TheraWe will be, but I'm not completely sure they're going to be able to help your cold. But with us today, we have Kaitlin Doyle, who is the CEO and founder of TheraWe Connect. Kaitlin, is this all true?
This is true.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
I have a feeling that, well, we'll get into how we know you and what you're doing and stuff like that, but can you help Matt with his cold?
Well, I mean, we are primarily focused on therapy and doing that together, so you might need to see your primary care provider.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
So, well, Matt, let me know if you need to check out at any point. I'm pretty sure you just made that cold up anyway. So.
No, I do have a cold.
Oh man, we'll stay away. Anyway, Kaitlin, so welcome. We've been exposed to TheraWe for a number of different times. First off was a year ago when you were one of the award winners that Full Scale gave some resource credits to at the Pure Pitch Rally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that has been an incredible experience for us and really helped build on our platform. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks for winning. Someone needed to.
Right.
But with that was, and it's crazy, that was a year ago, because for me that doesn't feel like that long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so why don't you go ahead? Let's start with some backstory. And the night of Pure Pitch Rally, it was Kirby Montgomery, who is your business partner, co-founder, that he did the presenting that night.
Right.
And but now he calls you boss lady, you said.
That's right.
Yeah. Listen to that, Kirby. Yeah. Actually, Kirby, we decided she's in charge too. So yeah. But with that, give us some backstory and talk about like what TheraWe does and the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah, so Kirby is heading up the product development, and he's an absolute whiz on that. I am focusing more on our business development and our fundraising. So let's go back about a year and a half and kind of start with where Kirby and I met. So a little bit of background about me. I'm a licensed occupational therapist, and I've spent my career working in pediatric therapy. So working with families who have children with special needs, whether that's autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, or other medical complexities. I started working in early intervention, and what that means is I was traveling to the homes of families who have children birth to 3. And so that was a really eye-opening experience for me. It allowed me to see the day-to-day challenges of raising children and raising children with special needs. And so from there, I moved into the clinic setting where I got a really great foundation for an organization that does collaboration and pediatric therapy really well. Shout out to Developmental on that piece. But the challenge there was, okay, now I need a better understanding of what's going on at home. I need to see what's going on, and I need to collaborate with those professionals who are working with the family at home. And that's a challenge because that takes a lot of extra communication. It takes a lot of extra time outside of the billable treatment session. So around that time, I was finishing my MBA at Rockhurst University, and I was connected through Lisa Mitchell with Kirby, who was actually working on this project out of a master's thesis project at the University of Kansas, and working with their applied behavioral analysis program on how do we make communication better, how do we engage with the parents better, and together we started to solve our problem and work on a solution, and that's what we call TheraWe today.
Okay. So, and I think it's a really cool thing that you're doing, and you got a lot. So the Pure Pitch Rally, and if you want to learn more about that, go back in the feed. There's a couple different, we gave away 50K type episodes, but that you back to where we were first exposed to this. So the Pure Pitch Rally is a pitch competition basically, and they get a bunch of people that give away $1,000 checks, and then some other people that give away some other stuff. But you guys did well at that because a lot of people identified with the problem that you were solving. And I think that at pitch competitions like that, it's surprising sometimes, and that wasn't. But we just did that again this year, and we were surprised with the calving technologies. It was ag tech one. So the things that sometimes those competitions are sometimes really validating, because you can see people that are buying into what you're doing. I think you guys got $6,000 or $7,000 on top of the 25 we threw in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So with that, you guys have also, I believe, you've won Digital Sandbox.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about our journey there.
Yeah.
So Pure Pitch Rally really helped to build out and implement our beta of our platform. So we're implemented with 5 different organizations, one in Florida, one in Hawaii, Oklahoma, here in Kansas as well. And so Pure Pitch Rally was really helped as a springboard for that. Moving forward, we then applied to Digital Sandbox, and we got a grant there that has allowed us to build out a web version of our platform, because at the time of Pure Pitch, we were mainly mobile based. And so Digital Sandbox gave us the opportunity to build out a web version of our platform, which will allow us to integrate with practice management software companies, so the medical record companies, which is a huge springboard for us as well. Moving forward from Digital Sandbox, we've recently been accepted and participating member in the Launch Health Accelerator, and that is a partnership with Newterra Capital.
Correct.
And that has been monumental for us as well.
Yeah, so Launch KC, and Fullscale's the official development partner there too. So you caught another award, just making it rain with awards. But yeah, so, and we've had them in. We've actually done an episode about that. I love the whole way that they pivoted that from grants to top level partners, because now, you got the same financial input, but you have a direct line to a healthcare VC or a health tech VC that has a vested interest in your success.
Right.
And that's so much better, and still provides the same financial input. And then also Launch KC, they went out and found people like us, and that's another $10,000 credit from Fullscale and stuff like that. And I do you like the way that is set up more so than just like, hey, here's a check?
Absolutely. I have nothing but amazing things to say about the Launch Health Accelerator. So not only now do we have access to companies like Fullscale, so we're getting top of the line development partnerships, but we are also, like Matt said, we're able to sit in on a conversation with the guys at Newterra and get real mentoring and feedback on how to approach fundraising, because it's hard. It's challenging for sure. And, just to be completely transparent, being able to sit in a room and talk about those things, not only is the opportunity to have a top level VC on our side, on the cap table, being able to have those conversations with high achieving individuals is worth just as much as the money is, honestly. Sure.
Yeah, it's by the way, I went to college with Jeremy.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I
world.
hadn't seen him for 25 years, and when we went to the event that announced the health tech thing, he came up. He's like, "How you been?" And I was like, "Whoa." hey, and I was like, what brought you here? He's like, oh, that Nutera Capital. So I was like, huh, interesting.
Wow.
So yeah,
Small world.
Yeah, it really is. Well, congrats on all that success. Now, with that, there's always challenges to doing any of this stuff. And, what have been some of the things and some of the obstacles that you've had to climb over along the way to starting a physical therapy app?
So there's of course lots of challenges that come with that. Right now we are fully in the trenches of raising funds for capital to continue growing, and you guys have spoke on the resources that are here in the Kansas City area, and I think being a CEO from the clinical world, it's challenging to navigate that process. And so having partners like Full Scale and Nutera Health and Don Peterson, who have experience navigating that journey, has been really beneficial to me for sure.
Yeah, I love some Don Peterson. He's
real.
He's awesome.
He's fiery too, and I think that's important too, because like Don's like a no BS kind of guy, which is, but to have an advisor like that and someone on your team is good, because most of the people you're trying to raise funds from are going to be like that too. Do you agree?
They are. Yeah. A lot of times they're big personalities. They are.
Yeah. So, Matt, do you have any input so far? I know you've kind of...
Well, so I don't think we did a really good job of covering exactly what TheraWe does.
Okay. Let's go back.
I think we missed that a little bit of, so would you describe it as a teledoc type platform, or how would you describe it for listeners?
Yeah, so TheraWe is a HIPAA-compliant platform that bridges the gap between the therapy center and the home. And what we do is we take that time that's being spent outside of the therapy session, communicating with families, sending them home exercise programs, that type of thing, and we take it and we put it inside of the therapy session and streamline that process for families, so that essentially mom, dad, grandma, nanny, whoever the caregiver team is, including the other providers, have a direct line to the therapist. So
you're not. So
this isn't like a teledoc sort of thing.
No.
Matt, if she was my physical therapist and I hurt my leg and I do the physical therapist gives you a bunch of exercises and stuff to do in between sessions.
Okay.
So the app will help her potentially be able to record, or someone at my place or, in my family be able to record my progress or certain things. Because the way I understood it is not all of the ailments are always repeatable at the moment that the therapist is there too. So sometimes it's kind of like a video, right. Video diary or log. And she mentioned she was always having to go to everyone's house and stuff like that. This can bridge that gap a little bit, and I think put you in more places at more times, right?
Yeah.
So your business model is to go to these therapists and say, hey, we have a tool that will help you with your patients, and this helps the patients kind of track their homework, what they need to do.
Yep, exactly.
Data collection needs to be collected, and then get that back to the therapist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So just to kind of run over some of the features, so I'll take you through what that journey might look like. So mom or dad brings little Johnny to the therapy session. They're in their once a week 30-minute therapy session. The therapist is explaining to the parent how to practice reaching or holding onto a toy or walking, those types of things. The parent or the therapist records that. It's automatically uploaded to all of the approved caregivers. So then grandma knows how to implement it when she's watching little Johnny, and the nanny knows how to implement it when she is watching little Johnny. When mom returns home, she can review that video so that she knows how to implement it, and then ask the therapist any questions. For example, sometimes there's challenges at home that you may not see in the therapy session. At that point, mom can take, or whoever is providing care can take a video and send that back to the therapist, so that the therapist is now aware of some of the barriers to implementing those strategies, or they're aware of what the meltdown at bedtime looks like.
Gotcha.
I understand that struggle.
So my 10-year-old, we've taken before for occupational therapy. He's like ODD and like parent. What is that? I don't know, different like behavioral type.
PCIT.
PCIT. Yep. Yep.
Parent
Parent-child
centered
interaction therapy.
therapy,
Yep.
yes.
So, and we would go once a week, and the therapist would tell us about, okay, this is how you should talk to him. And there would have been times it would have been great to like record him like being a pain in the ass and be like, okay, yeah, here you go. Here's how he acts. So
Right,
you got
yeah.
video of it.
Yeah, so it's as a parent, sometimes it's challenging to either recreate that situation at home that you really need help with, or to explain it to the provider. That can be
Yeah.
a challenge you can probably
Yeah.
relate to.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's that repeatability thing I was saying. It's like it's the same thing with like you're talking about behavioral stuff, but the same thing with like anything physical. Like, you know, if your arm cramps up, you
Right,
can't
yeah.
force yourself to do that always at the moment that your therapist is there or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
I like to give the example too. My background, I did a lot of feeding therapy, and so in the clinic, how am I supposed to know what the high chair looks like, or you know how grandma is presenting the food? I don't know those things because I'm not in the home environment, and those are things that really impact the success of eating and being successful in that situation.
Yeah.
So, how does the financial model work with this? Is it the parents that are paying for this, or is this a product that the therapists are typically buying?
So we go direct to the therapy organization, and they provide that to their therapists and to their families. We also go to therapy software resellers to do an integration with the practice management software, and they essentially white label our product and provide it to their current client base.
So where are you guys at kind of in your growth stage now? I mean, you have being used in 5 different therapy centers. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so we're implemented across 5 different therapy centers across the United States, and they are currently using version 1 of our platform. Version 2 of our platform is being deployed in the next week or so. So right now we are pre-selling for January 1 implementations with version 2 of our platform, which will include the web version as well as the mobile platform.
So how are you doing on, are all those customers paying customers? Or are you still kind of in like a beta stage?
Yeah, so with version 1 of the platform, we're more so in a beta stage. We have, we did a first round of funding that allowed us to create that version of the platform. We implemented it with those organizations, and they've been giving us feedback on what really needs to be in version 2 to drive optimal parent engagement and therapist engagement. And so we've taken the opportunity to use that feedback as well as work out the details for insurance reimbursement and those types of things.
So has their feedback been a lot different than you expected? Like when you shipped version 1, you're like, oh, they probably want this or that, like, or did you get feedback that was way different?
No, I think the feedback that we have gotten so far has been pretty true to what we had anticipated. Like I said before, Kirby is a product whiz, and so he's really good at surveying those individuals and figuring out between the two of us what is really needed for the therapist and for the family. So it was kind of nice because it, you know, during those surveys, it was like, okay, yeah, I know that this process needs to be a little bit smoother. It would be nice to have some push notifications to keep families engaged, those types of things. We can implement that. We're planning on implementing those things. So that process has been pretty seamless for us.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're building a new product like this is, you know, you build it and you think you're solving a certain problem or whatever, and then your users may give you dramatically different feedback. Or the other thing you have to fight against is your users may ask you to do things that you don't care about, right? Like, I want the product to do this. I don't, you know, they will drag you in other directions. And one of the hardest things to do is you have to learn to say no.
Right.
Right. And a good example of this is like,
Or force yourself to say yes.
yeah, I mean, like,
Because what you just described, like you said, if the users care about something you don't,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like maybe you should. It's
Yeah.
just sometimes hard
It's
to
hard.
to unwrap your your concept around their reality, but without the users, it doesn't matter.
I mean, a good example of this is something like Twitter. It's like a simple messaging thing for 140 characters or whatever, right? And people all the time would say, oh, why don't you be more like Facebook or be more like this? We're like, nope, this is what we do. If you don't like it, we're not your solution, right? Like, but then they can be the very best at that thing, right? And so that's the really hard thing about building any kind of software product is you get all this feedback from the customers, and it's hard to like go wide and try and do everything, or do you say, nope, we're going to focus on like a specific type of therapy or whatever and go really deep? Like we're going to have this amazing product for this specific type of therapy versus like trying to do everything and go
And
wide.
that was a question I had too, because at the beginning of the episode you mentioned your background of dealing with kids that were 0 to 3, and now is this product specifically aimed towards those that work with kids with special needs? Is it specifically for kids, or is it just for therapy in general?
So that's a really good question, and I'm glad that you guys hit on this point because you asked earlier about challenges, and I think this is one that is definitely a challenge because you get a lot of feedback. It's like, oh, well, this would be great for neuro patients. This would be great for geriatric patients, and I think it is important for us to really target and hone in on who our specific market is. We have positioned ourselves in the kind of birth to 6 range where the research is saying, that's when the most neurodevelopment is happening, and that's when we need really high quality, value-based care. And so our platform is helping therapists achieve that. And we, like I said, we're really focused in helping therapists and parents navigate those early years of life, and because that's a challenge for sure. So I guess my question to you guys would be, what's your experience on honing in on a specific target, or
well, like we have this,
pitfalls of that?
we have this problem at Stackify. So our customers are other companies that do software development. So it's literally like millions of people. So it's like, we're going to go sell to everybody, right? Like, but that's really hard. How do you target your marketing, all these things? So you're better off if you pick a certain segment of the market. And it could be, could be geography. It's like, oh, we're going to service everybody in Kansas, but we're going to focus all of our marketing efforts on Kansas, right? Or it could, for us, it's like could be a specific programming language or some other, the size of the company, the industry they're in. Like, at some point you just have to like pick something and focus on that. And then potentially what the product does, the feature set, revolves around that. But for you, that's where you have to figure out, are we focused on things that are children related versus, I could see this being useful for physical therapy or senior citizens or something that like the senior citizens don't want to go into the doctor's office. They want to stay at home. And so maybe there's a bunch of features around this for the remote care of it or something, but you could go a whole bunch of different angles, right? But then those may change how the product works and product changes, the go-to-market strategies, how you sell it, the type of partnerships you're building, all those things, right? So you can't, when you're a startup and you have limited resources, you can't chase every shiny object. It's like, we have a partnership with this company, but our sales and marketing strategy is trying to do this, and the product team is trying to solve that problem. They're all different directions. Right. At some point in time, you got to pick one direction and get everybody going that one direction. And a few months from now, you may solve that one. Like, okay, hey, we were really good at this. We have a salesperson who's dealing with this. They're building the business development. It's going really well. Now we have the capacity to work on something else. But at some point in time, you have to just focus. Yeah, and that's hard.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've done with our strategy and really aligning ourselves with that early pediatric population. And I think there definitely is growth opportunity to move into the geriatric population or even the outpatient physical therapy population, but that is not our focus right now.
I have something to add to that that's kind of the same but different than what Matt said, and it was experience that we had with GigaBook, which an appointment booking platform, gigabook.com if you want to check it out. But we immediately eliminated a few things that we just knew we'd never win at. Like, for example, we never focused on like hair appointments, because there's like 6 platforms that dominate the entire industry. We stayed away from medical for reasons you'll understand. We didn't want to store the data. We didn't want to deal with HIPAA and stuff like that. And so basically like Matt said, but you can still focus on a niche and still be really general. So we decided we were going to be fully customizable and cater towards platforms that had no booking platform in their industry at all. And it's actually worked out really well, but it's also a big pain in the ass because being fully customizable is way harder than building something that performs a specific function.
Yep.
You know, like what Matt's talking about is, okay, this goes straight and it can turn off and it can change lanes, but it doesn't make right turns. It doesn't make left turns. It doesn't go in reverse, and it doesn't lift up. And then, but fully customizable would need to, and it would need to go up, down. It would need to dig. It would need to do a lot of different things. And so that's been a lot more challenging and can make your life cycle of developing stuff a lot longer. But at the same time, when you get specific, we have some specific users that they've been with us for 5 years at this point because of the level of customization. There's nothing out there that does, it's always just like one or two goofy little things, but it's different for all of them. So we haven't really been able to focus the same way like Matt, like with Stackify, he's talking about, they have a specific coding language. So if you need it to check this coding language, they might be the only platform that really does that well. And it's a similar approach, but I think the thing for us was getting rid of the things we knew we'd never win at.
Yeah.
And by the way, food delivery was another one too, like food and restaurant, because Open Table won.
Yeah, exactly.
Before they got acquired for $1 billion, like as we were starting, and then also MindBody kind of rules the personal care game, and then they bought Booker. So like these were just two things. It was like the hair appointments we knew we'd never win, because people call us all the time. They'd be like, "Oh, I think my cousin would love this. She's a hairstylist." I'm like, "Don't even, just send her over to them, like, because you won't like it."
You know, and this insight's good for you to think about, like, oh, we could do geriatric stuff, but are there competitors in that space that are really good?
Right.
You know, and then that's where you're like, okay, we're going to stay in this lane over here.
Yeah, and that's, I think, you know, that's a big part of our focus on pediatrics too, is there are other, I mean, you can print off a stock image and send that home with the family. And, you know, that may work for outpatient physical therapy or for even, you know, some older populations. But in pediatric therapy, it's truly an art. And so it's when it's reacting or being proactive to when the kid presents to you, and how do you facilitate that situation. And so that's where we really come in, because we have the opportunity to provide that custom video that other products aren't able to do. And so that's where we really fit in pediatrics, because you know, the therapist can provide instruction on that specific kid and send that home, you know, automatically to the parents.
So you have three, there's always obstacles on the way to the cash register in any business, and you have three that are big. You have insurance, you have HIPAA, and you're dealing with data that has anything related to children. These are three big ones. These are like three huge linebackers preventing you from getting the football into the end zone on some days. Has that stuff been a challenge for you?
So our platform was developed out of the University of Kansas, and so when Kirby was initially working on this product, he had to go through the ringer of the HIPAA compliance piece with the University of Kansas Hospital. And I think that really set us up for success on that end of things. Our platform is unique in that the parent signs the HIPAA release when they join the platform, and that allows them to invite other providers and really be able to connect multiple organizations. So you're not signing a HIPAA release at Children's Mercy and at Britain Development and at your pediatrician's office. You're signing it once in our platform, and the parent is inviting those providers to connect. And that, I think that is what solves that piece of it.
Yeah, that's good. Now, HIPAA is it's just federal regulation that says, it's kind of like PCI compliance. And hopefully they're finding ways to make that easier and more accessible to wrap your arms around. I remember PCI compliance was a real pain in the butt for a long time. And now it's really easy. Like Stripe, you can just like plug in their payment thing and you're PCI compliant. But
Yep. Well, it's easy because you just don't do it. You rely on
well, right. Well, that's
Yeah.
well,
you
but
shift
that-
the
but
burden to somebody else.
But that's
Yes,
the point.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that the payment card industry realized that it was a huge obstacle, and by making it easier, because man, I'll tell you what, when we first started the ticket company, This was years ago. This was in PCI. The PCI compliance was a lot more difficult to deal with. Our point of sale provider literally had a full-time person that worked there that did nothing other than call you and make sure that you could, to help you fill out your PCI compliance questionnaire. And it was long, and it was a pain in the butt.
Well, I also worked in the ticket industry for a while, and we had people's credit card numbers in our database.
Same thing, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, same
and then
thing.
when PCI that came out, that was the whole point of like, you can't store this shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be encrypted. It's got to be handled the right way.
Yeah, and because of that, we had, I mean, the same thing.
So now we're like, okay,
You
don't
remem-
want to touch this crap
You
anymore.
remember those like documents? You know, they're like, please confirm that your shredder is a cross cut, not just a vertical cut. And you're like, does anyone there ever write down a credit card on paper? You know, and like, my God, but you know, you think about it, and it makes sense, but it doesn't make it easy.
I
to
bought
do
something
anything.
last night, and I had to pay half down and half later, and I wrote my credit card number down on a piece of paper. And
Did it
left
feel?
with them.
Did it feel weird?
It felt a little weird. I felt a little violated.
Did they have the right shredder?
I don't know. We'll see.
They probably don't. Hang on.
They might have sold my
Hang
credit
on.
card number in Russia or something.
I was going to say, hang on. Let me see if I can find that online real quick. Can you give the number to all of us so we can check?
Yeah. 7325.
That's it. Is that like when
That's it,
when you
yeah.
ask a girl
Just-
for her phone number and she
yeah.
only gave you 6 digits,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like not enough?
Yeah.
That shows how old I am. You usually need 10 now.
So I have another question and topic I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to ask you. So, what is it like to be the founder and CEO of a tech company as a female? How do you think that has helped or hurt your experience so far through the journey here?
Yeah, so it's an interesting role for sure. And you have to understand, I come from an environment where I worked with all females, so lots of female boss ladies. And I'm stepping into and have been in a world of more males in the tech world. And so I think it brings its own set of challenges, but honestly, I have been surrounded by a really awesome team to kind of help me navigate that process. And there are also some really great mentors in the Kansas City area, like Kelly Sievers, who is helping me navigate that process as well.
I mean, do you feel like there's been any specific instances where, because you were a female, this happened or that happened, or?
I think, on the fundraising side of things, there are opportunities for women-led, for capital for women-led companies, and I think that's a benefit for sure. But yeah, it definitely is.
I'm just
a
curious if
challenge,
you feel
but-
like you've been discriminated against in any way,
No, honestly,
or you just don't know it, potentially, I guess.
Yeah, I think that, of course, when I walk in the room, I'm sure that there are, concerns or questions about me being a female tech leader, but hopefully when they leave.
I don't get it. I mean,
leave the
because I don't think that way. I mean, I'm not like, and I want to remove the labels. Like, you're an entrepreneur, you're a founder. I'm not
Right.
like, hey, Matt, there's a female entrepreneur and a female founder and a female tech CEO coming in.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like people almost upplay that a little bit too much. Honestly, to your question, I haven't really thought of myself as different than the other CEOs in that way. I think, there are some opportunities in the community that are beneficial, but at the same time, we're all in the same field. We're all playing in the same field, and I think I have not personally viewed myself as disadvantaged or, in a
Well, that's why I was
different
just
place
curious
than anyone
if-
else.
Yeah,
If you had
it's
so
been a
specific-
hot topic.
It is,
It's
yeah.
something that's going around a lot. I mean, some of it's just, I think, that's like numbers driven, and I think it's difficult also to just compare like one industry. Like, there's just some things. I mean, on some levels we did this to ourselves because I have a 5-year-old daughter, and like, people give her a kitchen set for her birthday. I'm like, why didn't you give her a laptop? Or like something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's just like,
Well,
but we have kind of conditioned our own kids to kind of play gender
And-
roles on some level. But
I think that's a really interesting comment, and probably why I haven't necessarily viewed myself as different is my dad is he runs a small business, and growing up, you know, it was my job to help mow the lawn. It was my job to help my mom in the kitchen. You know, like the roles were gender neutral, and always I had a seat at the table.
There you
know,
go.
If we were doing something with his business, I had a seat at the table, and that's something that I want to empower with my children and with other females who are coming up. You have, no matter your role, you have a seat at the table.
I've been doing that with my own daughter, who turns 5 in 10 days. She seems to have the entrepreneurial gene. I took her to an innovator event last week because she wants to start a lemonade stand. But I've told her, I'm like, you don't know anything about business. Like, you need a plan. You need to raise some capital. Like, I'm sitting there I'm like sitting there talking to a 5-year-old, like I would talk to like you or anyone else. And my wife's just like there shaking her head. But at the same time, that's like what she needs. But yeah, so we went to this, and she sat through 9 demos, and then she wanted to give her own. If you had met my daughter, you'd know that she would have too. But then she was kind of like, and during the demo, she made herself a name tag because she saw other people wearing them. And so she was figuring it out. And at the end, you know, she's kind of like, well, what do I do? And I said, well, you need money for your lemonade stand. There was like 40 people in the room. I was like, go start asking some people for money. I didn't think she was really going to do it, but she did. And she raised $6. And like the funny thing is, you know, they always say that first one's the hardest. She asked a couple people, and then one person gave her $1, and then like they were lining up. Donald Hawkins tried to give her his whole wallet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you have to step in and no, don't do that?
Well, no, I told her she needed $5. She raised $6, so technically she was oversubscribed. And then she, you know, I said, what? She said, well, what do we do? And I told her, I was like, well, we have to count your money. So she counted it, so a little accounting there. And I said, we'll have to make a plan. And the ride home, which was a 30-minute ride, she was talking about writing a business plan. So when we got back, she wanted to do it. We put her money in an envelope. We wrote $6 on it. And then she wanted to write a business plan, so I had her put it on the back of and by the way, this is like probably the most straightforward business plan ever. She wrote, sell lemonade. Perfect. I was like, you are on it. Like, no distraction, no bells and whistles here. Get right to it.
A lot of founders struggle with how to simplify that mission statement.
That's why I said, I was like, wow, that's pretty good. So anyway, yeah, good for her on that. So Kaitlin, I have a question for you. Have you ever played Mixtape the Game?
I have not.
Would you like to?
Sure.
She seems apprehensive. Mixtapethegame.com. Anyway, I've pulled a card out of the Mixtape deck. I'm going to read a scenario. We're all going to pick a song, and then we will vote for who wins. You may not vote for yourself.
Okay.
What album or song? Ooh, album, Matt. You get it?
Yes.
Matt has a problem with like picking Limp Bizkit, which, by the way, is still a band, not an album.
Yeah.
Okay. What album or song would you listen to during the passionate creation of your first masterpiece? And I'm going to pick one that no one knows, but I'll explain why. I'm going to go with All in Time by Humphreys McGee, which is a 20-minute song, by the way. But in it says, I'm well endowed with all the doubt I need. Because I think on the way to creating any masterpiece, at many different times, you're like, oh, man. You have a lot of doubt, and you kind of persevere and keep moving forward.
You know that song they play with the clowns when they're like all trying to get into the car at the same time? that song. That's the one I'm picking, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called.
It's kind of for the same
I'm going with that song.
It's almost for the same reasons that I just described. There's like a lot of doubt. Like, how many clowns can we get in the car?
That's the song I'm going with.
I think I'm going to have to go with, just on our topic today, Shania Twain's album, and I Feel Like a Woman.
Okay. Is that a whole album, or is that a song?
No, it's a song,
okay.
But
you're going with the whole album?
But I'm going with Shania Twain's
in general?
album, yeah.
Okay, but with that song on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That was a bit of a clown show, too.
And what did you pick again?
I'm picking the song All in Time by Humphreys McGee, which you won't know, but it does. All in time is the point. It's like it all comes in time, but you have to get past your own self-doubt and stuff like that. And like I said, I know no one will know it, but I've listened to that song like 100 times for weird creative reasons.
How do we verify that it's an actual song?
That song?
Yeah.
Oh man, we could play it for 20 minutes. And
well,
go
I'm going to vote for her.
It is a song.
I'm voting for her.
I'm actually going to vote for you.
Really?
Yeah, because I
All
think
right.
the clown show, like I got it, I got it in my head, and you know, but the thing is much like I said, being a masterpiece, being you're well endowed with all the doubt you need. Well, the clown show is like the next step in that. You're like, can we even do this? And then the clowns come in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to the clown show, so I'm gonna have to go with that one as well.
Yes.
Watson
Woo-hoo!
putting up the W. Well, despite Matt's victory there, you will be leaving today's recording with your own copy of Mixtape the Game.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
we can thank mixtapethegame.com and Joel Johnson for bringing those by. So as we wrap up this episode, we like to end our episodes of Startup Hustle with what we have called the Founders Freestyle. And we will just we're going to start with you and we'll work your way back to me. You get, I don't know, take a minute and anything you want to add. It can be advice. It can be a pitch. You can sing I Feel Like a Woman. It's up to you. It's a freestyle.
I think I'll really hit on the need for a product and kind of where I come from. I talked a little bit about fundraising, and we've been given a lot of mentorship on get your 9 no's as fast as you can so you can get your 1 yes, right? And so that can be challenging, right? So I think for me, for every one of those no's, if I have spread awareness on the challenges to pediatric therapy and really open the eyes of, hey, this isn't just snacks and games, this is an art, this is a real challenge for therapists and for parents, I think that's a win for me. And so I just kind of want to shine a little bit of light on what our platform is doing for therapists and for parents who are in the trenches of navigating that journey. And yeah.
Yeah, I just want to go back and talk a minute about, we talked earlier about selecting a market to focus on and building a product around that. And I think what you guys are doing is a great example of something that was a similar challenge that there's probably 100 different use cases for. In some sense, it's probably not that much different than a school and a student and tracking that sort of stuff, right? Like,
Yep.
There's a million different use cases for these things, and ultimately you pick one very specific use case and you become the best at it, and you become a lot more successful, right? Where you can go to your customer and be like, hey, we have the perfect product for you. And they can look at it and quickly say, yep, this makes sense, right? Versus, it's like saying I want a CRM system. But if I'm a car dealer and I go search for a CRM system, it makes more sense if all the advertising and all the marketing and all the things speak directly to them. Of like, yeah, we have a CRM system perfect for you, versus it being Salesforce.com or just some generic CRM system, right? So, that's the key that a lot of founders struggle with, is they want to be all things to everybody, but you can't. You got to really focus.
Right.
I realized and thank you for both of you. I realized that here we are 42 minutes later, and this episode of Startup Hustle is brought to you by Fullscale.io. So
she talked about it earlier. I think she did the
yeah, I
best
know.
job
That's I think that's maybe
yeah.
why I didn't say much about
Yeah.
it. But also, you can go to TheraWe. That's THERA Connect.com. And I don't think we did enough to maybe impress that they could go find the TheraWe product there. For my freestyle, I'm just gonna point out again that that if you want to get it done and you are tenacious, there are local resources all over. I mean, you look at TheraWe, they won $25,000 plus $6,000 or $7,000 cash a year ago. They got $25K from us at Full Scale. Another, $6 or $7 grand cash. Digital Sandbox was $20K. Launch KC, go to launchkc.org, and they directly lined up with a health tech thing, and that was another. Who knows? That could have been a 6-figure ring of the bell. A lot of resources there. That's a mix too. That's cash. That's resources. There's other stuff, advice, things like that. And you guys have you and Kirby and the team at TheraWe have done an amazing job of ringing the bell. Like, you're almost like running down the line with the hammer, like ding, 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 ding. But that's I think that's validating for a lot of people. You've had an idea and you've bootstrapped it when and where you've needed, and You know, like you're not going to get accepted to any of this stuff if you don't go apply, people. Like
Yeah.
you
Right.
got to try. Like get your shit together, make a decent pitch, take the feedback that the people give you. Don't get hurt about it when you don't win. Come back with a stronger game. Some of these people that apply for Digital Sandbox have literally, like, they're on their third or fourth pass. Jeff told me that, like, it's kind of rare to win on the first try. Did you win on the first try?
No, we did not.
Boom. That's my
Yeah.
point. Like,
And you
so-
guys are showing off all the resources that are available to you. You just got to
Yeah.
keep going out there and making progress. And
rage,
And
rest,
you-
repeat.
you
Yeah.
probably, and I would guess you'd say we wouldn't be where we are today without all the help that we've
We would
received,
not.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that,
Yeah.
but my point is, and much like you said, like you didn't get it at Sandbox the first time. Like just because you apply, and Kaitlin, you said something here that everyone listening needs to hear. Get through 9 no's. You're closer to a yes.
Yep.
Get through 99 no's. I got 99 no's, and yes ain't one. Is that how that song goes? but the point is like that. But that's common, and you know, I come from a sales background, and that's just how it goes. Like you're like, okay, cool. Like it's next. There's what my 2 favorite 4-letter words in sales are: sold and next. Because if it's not there, just say next, move on. So anyway, thank you so much for coming in. Love what you're doing. We need to get you back in here down the line so we can do some follow-up on this, because you guys really are a shining example of putting together local resource. I mean, do you agree, Matt? You got to admit that's pretty impressive.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's great, all the resources we have in the community. So it's
Yeah.
it's great that you guys have been able to take advantage of them. And
Yeah.
I hope they continue to get more and more of these types of resources and have more and more startups that go through them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I just have to say thank you to the people in the community that have provided that opportunity to us, because like you guys said, you know, we wouldn't be where we're at without the resources in the Kansas City area. So thank you.
And I think we have to really shout out Lisa Mitchell, who connected you to begin with, right?
Yeah.
The networking,
All starts
getting out
when you
there,
guys start.
just starting with somebody networking the two of you together, and you got 2 founders that get together, right? I mean, that's where it all started.
I always say,
Again,
man,
that's the
that-
community.
Think like
So-
Nike. Think like Nike, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is that's preventing you from being successful, just do it.
Thank you, Lisa
Yeah.
Mitchell.
Yeah. Anyway, see you guys next time.